tonight on the program. I hope you're being strengthened and blessed in the Lord. We have seen in this past week the attempt on Donald Trump's life, something that I've been telling you about for almost 4 years now, and guaranteeing you that there would be absolutely no way, no possibility that such an attempt would not be made. I have repeatedly said for 4 years that there is nothing that will get Donald Trump to the White House but God himself. I have said that at least 1,000 times. We know what's going to happen because we know those that we're dealing with. The Bible tells us what the evil do. It tells us what the wicked does. And it tells us what the abominable do. So, there is no great prophetic foresight that I even profess to have. It's something much simpler than that. It's something that we all should have. And that is the simple ability to see what God said in His Word, who we are dealing with. As I've repeated 1,000,000 times, know them that labor among you. And we should know them that labor among us because the Bible tells us what their personalities are, characteristics, how they act, and what they do. And those that hate me, God says, loves death. It's not some tremendous prophetical prophecies coming to pass. All you got to do is look and see what's going on. As Solomon said, everything that's happening now has happened before. And what's happened before will happen again. What you're seeing right now is the attempt to remove Donald Trump. And those of you who's paid attention knows for sure, and Mr. Trump knows too. Nothing but the divine hand of God saved his life. For had he not turned his head the second that he did, he would have got a temple shot and he'd be a dead man right now. No weapon formed against us shall prosper until God is finished with us. You, me, Mr. Trump, until God is finished, until our testimony is finished. The Bible makes it clear. There is no weapon formed against us that will prosper. Mr. Trump obviously has a mission, and Mr. Trump's going to finish that mission. Nothing will happen to him until God is through with him. Whatever God's plan is, and ever how far God's plan goes. It's almost sickening seeing these wannabe YouTube prophets all jumping up now. You got to suspect first and foremost, they want them a whole bunch of hits. And I'll warn a whole lot of you that the mesmerizing that the Apostle Paul talked about to the Galatian church is happening to a lot of Christian people today because everything is being sensationalized. Because these YouTube prophets want a whole lot of hits on their YouTube. Well, we'll see. But one thing that we do know for sure, because we've got all the tapes of all the days back, I have told you what's happening right now was going to happen. And I do not profess to be a prophet nor anything else. I've simply read this book, and in it tells me who we're dealing with, commands me to know who it is we are laboring among and who's laboring among us. And the Bible tells us what they're going to do. The Bible tells us that you'll know a tree by the fruit that it bears. You ought to know a murderer before he murders. And what you're looking at now systemically is a government slam full of murderers. Heartless, soulless, psychopaths. Make no mistake about it. We're going to look at some of the things tonight concerning the attempt to kill Mr. Trump. The purpose of it is not to rehash what you've probably been seeing all week. The purpose of it is to show you that no reasonable thinking human being can possibly come to no other conclusion than that this was a made-up deal. I mean, you know who's investigating all this, don't you? The FBI, the one that led a coup against Donald Trump in his first run for the presidency. The FBI, who led a coup against him. They're the ones investigating this. The CIA, the one that got 51 ex-CIA experts and officials to say that the Hunter Biden laptop was not real. Of course, we knew it was then, and now it's been proven that it's real now. So the CIA, the Department of Justice, the FBI, all of which has tried to put the man in prison, brought one false claim after the other. They're the ones investigating these that tried to kill Mr. Trump, or the one that tried to kill Mr. Trump. Well, we can rest assured that it will be a thorough investigation from those who has made it absolutely clear they want the man gone, dead, whatever it takes. They don't want him nowhere near Washington, D.C. because they know that he's going to end their corrupt careers if he gets there. Do you remember JFK? John F. Kennedy assassinated. He did a couple of things, went contrary to the Democratic Party, as I've brought out to you many times. Every president ever assassinated has been Republicans, except for one. The one Democrat that was assassinated, what did he do? Well, he sent the FBI into Mississippi and Alabama to remove the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan was created by the Democrats for the purpose of being a military arm to threaten those, mainly the blacks, that didn't vote for them, the Democrat. But he also did more than that, JFK. JFK saw that the CIA was a threat to this country. Almost everybody agrees that the CIA had something to do with Kennedy's death, and I assure you that they did. Even to this day, almost 70 years later, they've still not let the reports and the findings come out. But there was a man by the name of Allen Dulles. Most of you won't know who that is, but he was the head of the CIA. And whenever Mr. Kennedy made this statement, I will, quote, smash the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it in the winds. Mr. Dulles was the head of the CIA, and Mr. Kennedy fired him. Strangely enough, whenever Kennedy all of a sudden got killed, anytime you are a threat to the Democrats, they remove you with slander, or they remove you with a bullet. That's history. It's always been the same thing. So, why not believe that what always has been from a group of people who has not at all changed, that it's not going to be the same now? And we see that it is. Now, the strange thing about it is Donald Trump is doing exactly what JFK did. He's wanting to dismantle the corruption inside the government. A corrupt FBI, as it has been clearly manifested. A corrupt CIA, as it's been clearly manifested. Well, that's what got Kennedy killed. Strangely enough, they just took a shot at Donald Trump. Now, Chuck Schumer, the head of the Democrat Party in the Senate, well, he made this veiled threat, not so veiled actually, warning Trump early on that the CIA has a whole lot of ways to get you if they want to.
But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them. And
6 ways to Sunday to get back at you. And he's talked to the CIA and found out they was very angry at Mr. Trump. Well, you know what that means, don't you? It's Chuck Schumer sending out his threats. But not only that, but because you had some Supreme Court justices that may go against the murdering of babies called abortion, while they were in court, he broke the law and stood right outside the court, threatening by name the Supreme Court justices.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
And after he made those threats, guess what showed up at Mr. Kavanaugh's house? A man with knives and guns. These are the people that, well, they kill you if there's no other way to remove you, if you become a problem to them. They always have. So why would you expect anything else? Now, you may remember that I told you over and over and over again that they laid out the plan of Iran to assassinate Donald Trump and a couple of others. They played it one time. I've showed you the clip where Iran threatened to kill Trump. Nothing else has been said about it. I told you that they would use Iran because everybody knows the hatred that the Democrats has for Mr. Trump, that if they just kill him, that it'd be hard for them to convince people they wasn't behind it. So they set Iran out because a gazillion times I've told you there is a conspiracy between the Democrats, Iran, Russia, and China. Told you that a million times. Now, right after this shooting took place, a report came out that they had already heightened the security level for Donald Trump. Why? Look at this article. Exclusive. Secret Service ramped up security after intel of Iran plot to assassinate Trump. No known connection to the shooter. So all of a sudden you have a shot on his life. And then all of a sudden, Iran is brought into the picture. Exactly what I told you. Not because I'm a prophet, but because it is easy to see that if something is moving in a particular direction and it don't turn or change, it's going to reach its final destination. And that is to remove Donald Trump. Blame China, blame Iran for it. Iran take the blame for it, and in return they get their nuclear weapons. It's just as easy and simple as ABC.
Fox News now reporting that the parents of Thomas Matthew Crooks had called police on the day of the attempted assassination. Fox reporting that Crooks' parents were looking for him Saturday in the hours leading up to the rally shooting, and eventually they called law enforcement to indicate that he was missing and they were worried.
All right, let's take a minute to look at all the red flags, as they call them. The guy who shot at Trump, his mom and his daddy called the police because him and his gun all of a sudden went missing. Now, is that something that you would do? If your son is getting a gun and going to the shooting range, you would call law enforcement? I think mom and daddy knew that something was up. But that's the first red flag. The law was called about this young man. And then we see this.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Where? Right there. You see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Yeah, look. There he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals.
He's
we
on
have
the roof. He's
drug dealers. We have people that
right
should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof again.
Up here.
So we have citizens at the Trump rally calling the police and saying he's on the roof. Nobody does anything about it. You do have walkie-talkies. The locals are in connection with the feds. They call them and they say there's somebody on a roof over here. So you warn Mr. Trump. They have a rooftop with a direct angle at the president with nobody on it to guard or protect. That don't happen, you see, but it did this time. So mom and daddy calls the law and says the boy is missing. Then people an hour before sees him walking around, including police officers, and he's suspicious, but they do nothing about it. Now people by the dozens is seeing him on a roof with a gun.
We noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with the rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So everybody in the world is seeing this fellow, except the CIA and except the Secret Service. And if they are seeing him, which they was, they ain't doing nothing about it. That's strange, isn't it?
In the moments leading up to the deadly shooting, you can see those 2 counter snipers scanning for threats in their positions on the rooftop behind former President Trump. Their high-powered rifles appear to be pointed in the direction of the gunman's position on an adjacent building overlooking the rally.
Okay, so you now have police officers an hour before who has seen the man, deemed him to be suspicious, did nothing about it. You now have citizens by the dozens crying out to the police and to the Secret Service. There's a man on the roof with a gun, and nobody does anything about it. Police didn't see him climb up. I'm sure they did. Now, in what you just saw, the snipers that's on the building behind Mr. Trump has their guns pointed in that exact direction. Did they see him? Obviously they did. Why then did they let him get off 3 rounds before they even fired a shot? Kill him after he shoots? There ain't but one thing you can come to a conclusion of about that. Let him shoot first with a clear view at the president. Let him shoot first and then you shoot him. Now, not even a fool is that stupid. It don't work that way.
Shocking new details about the Secret Service's failure to protect former President Trump from the gunman on Saturday are emerging. CBS reports that a local law enforcement officer with direct knowledge of the incident said 3 snipers were stationed inside the building the shooter used in his attack.
Okay, a police officer says that 3 snipers was inside the building of which the assassin climbed up. Why would you have snipers inside of the building? A building unprotected that has a straight line, straight view, straight to the president. See, that's not a mistake, brothers and sisters. That's the first thing you cover. That's the first thing any of us would know to cover. A building where they have a straight firing line at you, at the president. You put somebody on top of that building. That's not a mistake. Mistakes are little small things that falls through little small cracks. Here you got the police seeing them, snipers inside the building that the attempted assassin, is climbing on, citizens all outside telling the police and pointing to pointing to the Secret Service, man on the roof with a gun, mama and daddy calling the law. He's missing an hour beforehand. Officers already deemed the man to be suspicious. There ain't but one conclusion you can come to.
Now, one of the snipers inside the building saw the gunman looking up at the roof, observed it, and he disappeared, then came back, at which point one of the snipers took a picture of the gunman. By the time other officers came for backup, the gunman was already on top of the building, according to CBS.
So a suspicious fellow looking at the roof leaves and comes back, and he's sparked your suspicion enough as a sniper not to go outside and confront him, ask him some questions, but inside take a picture of him and then let him crawl up on the roof.
Now, Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle gave ABC News a very curious explanation for why there was no sniper stationed on the roof itself. She said, quote, "That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point, and so there's a safety factor that would be considered there that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof."
So you have a building that's in the line of sight of a president giving a speech. You know that it's there, but you put no security agents on it to make sure no one can get up there and take a shot at the president. Then they ask the director of the Secret Service, this lady, on last Wednesday, why didn't she have someone on it? On the roof, as is common, it's what you do. She said because there was a slope on the roof and it would be basically too dangerous for the SWAT team to be up there or to put anybody on a roof with a slope on it. Now here's a picture of the building that the gunman was on. That's barely a slope at all. It's almost a flat roof. Barely a slope at all. But the lady said she didn't let Secret Service be on that roof to guard it, straight bird's eye view to the president, put nobody up on it because it had a slope and it might be dangerous. But right behind Mr. Trump on a building, the snipers for the Secret Service look at the slope on the building that they're on. It's at least 2 times greater than the slope, if there's even hardly a slope on the building that the shooter was on. Now, you see, that's simply not true, that they didn't have someone on that building because the slope of the roof, when they had someone on the building behind Trump that had a much deeper slope. These are lies. These are untruths. And it is telling you all you need to know. Now, everything that I've told you was going to happen is happening. And this has got set up written all over it. Just basic common sense. I told you on last week's TV show, which was aired before the shooting ever even took place, if Trump survives, the question is now, will Joe Biden survive? Because now the Democrats want Biden out because it looks like he can't possibly win. Do you think that Trump will survive the next 4 months? But now there's another possibility. Will Joe Biden survive? Because right now the Democratic Party is in a mess, to say the least. They want to get rid of Joe all of a sudden. Maybe it's not just Trump that better look out for the assassin's bullet. but Mr. Biden himself, that he just has a heart attack. See, not only do these Democrats now want Mr. Trump out, and we know what they do with people that they have to get rid of. History is full of what they do.
Say there's work for you to do. So I took my master's hand and joined the Christian band. Now I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. I left my home and kindred, bound for the promised land. Clear the grace of God upon me and my Bible in my hand. Distant lands I've trod, crying, sinner, come to God. Yeah, I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. Yeah, I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. Oh, yes, I am. Yeah, I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. I promised him that I'd serve him till I die. Now I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. Savior, I'll meet him with a smile, for he healed my wounded spirit